Update. Am I the a-hole for not putting my pregnant girlfriend on the deed of the house? She says she feels the situation is unfair and that she is at my mercy. Original post. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years, and she is currently pregnant with a baby due in April 2026. Before we found out about the pregnancy, we had casually discussed the idea of possibly buying a house together at some point in the future. At the time, it was more of a long-term goal than an immediate plan. However, once we learned she was pregnant, everything accelerated very quickly. We both felt pressure to create stability and have a permanent home in place before the baby arrived. As part of this process, we decided to get pre-approved for a mortgage together. That's when I discovered something that completely changed the situation. My girlfriend has a very large amount of credit card debt. She had previously represented that her debt was around $10,000, which I was prepared to work with. In reality, it turned out to be over $90,000. Because of this debt, a joint mortgage would come with a much higher interest rate and significantly higher monthly payments than if I applied on my own. Given those circumstances, I proposed that I take out the mortgage solely in my name. Since I would be assuming all of the financial risk, I also said that I believed I should be the only one on the deed. At the time, my girlfriend said she was okay with this arrangement. Based on that understanding, we moved forward. We found a house that we both liked, made an offer, had it accepted, and are now scheduled to close during the second week of January. However, she has since changed her position. She is now refusing to move into the house unless her name is also placed on the deed. I have refused to do that. She is not on the mortgage, and 100% of the down payment is coming from my personal savings. In addition to that, I will be solely responsible for the mortgage payments, utilities, HOA fees, insurance, and all maintenance costs associated with the home. What makes this even more difficult is the timing and context of the debt. I did not learn the true extent of her financial situation until after she was already pregnant. Had I known beforehand that she had misrepresented something this significant while we were planning a future together, I likely would have ended the relationship and certainly would not have agreed to have a child. Lying about finances on this scale feels like a deliberate choice, not an honest mistake. Now I feel stuck between protecting myself financially and trying to keep my relationship intact for the sake of our future child. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to put her on the deed under these circumstances? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. I am a family law attorney. Putting her on the deed would be a disaster for you. Do not do it until she gets her financial house in order. Don't put her on the deed until you get married. And don't get married just because you have a kid together either. This whole situation is messy. Nearly $100,000 in credit card debt indicates severe financial issues. You would not want her on the deed because she could get sued and collected against, or take out a home equity line of credit. Be clear and set attainable goals. She needs to go to financial counseling and get on a debt management plan before being put on the deed. $100,000 in debt, and they've only been together for 2 years. She's a lunatic thinking she's entitled to be on the deed. She's already planning what she'll do once she leave him, LOL. Have you met my niece? It sounds like you have. She's notorious for screwing over partners. She's managed to get her name on a deed in every relationship. And as soon as the ink dries, she cheats and leaves, and forces a sale and split of a house she never put a penny toward. She leaves a trail of broke, angry, homeless people stuck begging anyone to help them as she dances away with half their house. In case you can't tell, no one in the family can stand her, including her kids. OP, this could be your fate if you fall for her nonsense. Do not put her on anything you own, and definitely don't get married until she is debt-free. Your situation has me itchy because she sounds like my niece, and my niece is a see you next time, with a bold capital C. Now for the update a month later. A couple of weeks after my original post, my girlfriend broke up with me due to the housing situation and not being on the deed. She started looking for a new place. We were living together, but she could not find a place she could afford on her own that wasn't sketchy, and none of her friends were interested in finding a place together. Given the situation, I agreed to let her move in. While I know it is not ideal, she is still pregnant with my child. She will stay in one of the guest rooms. I am still paying 100% of the costs for the house, and she still will not be on the deed. She will be responsible for her own groceries. We have a written lease agreement, but I will not be charging her rent. She will need to buy her own furniture, bed, etc. That said, she has made multiple comments about how it's not really her home, how it is unfair to her, how she feels she has no security, and how she is at my mercy since everything is in my name. She has asked to decorate the whole house. I am opposed, but as a compromise, I told her that she is free to decorate her room and the nursery, as long as she does not make any permanent changes, like new paint. From my perspective, I am being more than fair by providing a free place to live and covering all housing expenses, even after we broke up. I am responsible for my child and for providing that child with stable housing, and that is exactly what I am doing. You're stepping up for your kid, and that's the important part. Free housing, no rent, written lease, your name on the risk. That's reasonable. That's insanely generous. And she's complaining? Complaining that he is giving her a completely free place to live, even though they no longer date? Talk about entitled. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you're definitely going above and beyond. I would ask for a DNA test just to be sure, and I would be communicating about a future state where she does move out and you work on shared custody, because her living there is untenable in the long term. If there ever comes a time when you're ready to move on to a new relationship, I'm sure you're not going to want your baby mama roommate living there. He doesn't need to ask for anything. The child will live in his house, and I bet he'll help care for it. It's a quick swab. She doesn't need to know, as it would probably make things even more complicated and uncomfortable. It's his child, and he has the right to run the test. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to revisit my agreement with my ex regarding our kid outside the courts, even at the risk of having my parents be cut off from seeing their grandchild? My ex and I had a pregnancy scare in college. After that scare, we had a conversation about what would happen if we had another one. We agreed that if either of us felt we were not ready to have a child, we would agree not to have the child. Fast forward 3 years later, she is pregnant. I told her I was not ready and was still early in my career. She told me she was on the fence and thinking we should go through with the pregnancy. I reminded her of our original agreement and expressed how neither of us was equipped to raise a child. She finally told me, around 19 weeks or so, that she would be keeping the child. At that point, I told her that we were done, and that I would support her financially to the extent that I am legally obligated to, nothing more and nothing less. I told my parents, and said that if my ex was okay with having them in her life, that was fine by me. I just told them that I am nothing more than an ATM, and that I refuse to play any parental role. If she is willing to let them be grandparents, that's great, but that is between her and them. After the child was born, I agreed to child support. I don't have any visitation. She has both primary and legal custody. For me, it is just a 21-year term loan. I live in New York. I could not sign away my rights. It is complicated in New York, but she gets final say on all decisions regarding the child. Now we are having issues because she wants me to be physically in our child's life. She wants me to have the child on weekends and split the days during summer break. I told her no, we had an agreement. I will not be a good influence on that child, and my job schedule is not conducive to watching a kid. Either way, I told her that if she wants to change the agreement, we have to do it through the courts. I reminded her that the courts cannot force visitation, but if they require me to pay more support due to increased costs, so be it. I just want everything to go through the courts so it is properly documented. The issue now is that my ex is trying to say that if I don't do more, she will cut my parents out of the equation. I ask her why. That is basically her only support system. That makes zero sense to me. I spoke with my parents, and it appears they had to cut back on some support because my mom was watching the child for nearly 12 hours every day while my ex was working. My parents are older. They had me much later in life. How old is this kid now? Would the child even know you? It sounds like she thought it would be fine and is now realizing being a single parent is a no break, no time out, no time off situations, and she's burnt out and wants a break. Go through the courts. If she cuts off your parents, then she cuts off your parents. That's on her if she wants to remove the only support network she has. Fafo, not the a-hole. You stated the ground rules and now she's trying to change them. Child will be 2 in May. I forgot to mention that, sorry. The child has never seen me outside of pictures at my parents' house. That is the vibe I get. I just find it odd why she refuses to go through the courts. It should be to her benefit if what she states is true. I do feel for my parents, but I think that is what I will do. If she refuses to go through the courts, then it is outside of my control. Always go through the courts. She was taking advantage of your parents. Yeah, it is just weird how she is refusing to go through the courts. Instead, she is trying to use my parents as leverage. Then go get a lawyer and ask them what to do. This is not something Reddit should be giving advice on. Get actual New York legal advice on how to settle this and move forward from there. Obviously include your parents' wishes as well as you figure out how to get what you want. In the meantime, your parents should tell her that if she's going to hold them hostage, then she can find alternate child care from now on until this is settled legally. They should stop caring for the child. As painful as that will be for everyone, some temporary pain may hopefully get her to consider what's truly best for her child and herself and stop manipulating everyone. Also OP is the original agreement in writing, because if it's not, what the heck were you guys thinking? That will make some of this much harder. We were 19 in college, so no, it was not in writing. Overall, it is not that hard. We have gone through the courts to establish our current agreement for nearly 2 years. I did speak with my attorney, and I told her what he told me. They cannot force visitation on me, so whatever issue she has, the solution would have to be monetary, but within limits. I know where I stand in the legal context. As I told my ex, if she wants to go through the courts and I am ordered to pay more, I will pay more. My parents' wishes are where I am wavering, because it would suck for them a lot. Next story. Am I the a-hole for going to my female co-worker's house to help her fix something? I'm 38 male. My co-worker is 33 female, and she started working with me in December. She's quiet, kind of comments on music and movies sometimes, but she shows up, does her job, and leaves. Yesterday, she asked me if I could come over after work and help her fix something because her husband doesn't know how, and she didn't want to call someone to fix it. She said she knew I knew how, and that she'd pay me in lunch. I'm not going to turn down food, so whatever. I went over. She had all the parts. I fixed what needed fixing and showed her how to do it, so if something like that broke again, she could fix it herself. Her daughter was there the whole time, holding flashlights and handing me parts I needed. Then she door-dashed lunch so I could eat while she went to pick up her older kids from school, and we could finish up after she got back. Well, finishing up turned into it still leaking, so I took it apart again and resealed things. By the time we were finishing up the second time, her husband came home and he was livid. And yes, she told him a co-worker was coming to help fix it. It wasn't like he was blindsided. He knew I was coming to help her fix it. But now a couple of co-workers are saying I'm an a-hole for going to another man's house with his wife and daughter home, like I was being some kind of creeper. We literally fixed the thing and talked about stupid stuff all day. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not the a-hole. Thank you for helping a woman who needed it. Maybe her husband will sort it before she has to ask another man next time. She told him it was happening. This is on him. Co-workers just want to be involved in gossip. He doesn't know how to fix things. She told me that. She's the handy one, but the plumbing under the sink isn't something she knew how to do. I used to be the woman in that marriage. I had a lot of very close male friends, many of whom we shared and many of whom I knew through work. I absolutely would have done the same thing, even without having children to care for, and it also would have made my ex livid. Not because the situation was wrong, but because he was wrong. He wouldn't allow me to seek help for something he also couldn't, and wouldn't even attempt. I hope she gets either some therapy with her husband or a good lawyer. Good on you for offering help when you could. Not the a-hole, but I would not go over to her house again. The husband sounds like he has issues. Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder if that's why she's so quiet at work. Our section is all guys. She's the only girl. How do your co-workers even know this happened? Not the a-hole for helping, but definitely too naive to trust this type of encounter to not have any negative implications. Just the fact that you went to her home can be career damaging. She could have accused you of anything. Notice how your co-workers were quick to blame you rather than her? Please don't put yourself in this position again. Protect yourself. They know because she was complaining about the sink being busted and they heard her ask me. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my food with my girlfriend? The Lord of the Rings is doing a theatrical rerun in my city, so my girlfriend, 27 female, and I, 27 male, decided to go watch the Two Towers Extended Edition last night. We do not currently live together. There's a bar that I really love right next to the theater. I asked if we could go to this restaurant after the movie because I really wanted to get this specific dish. It's lattice-style fries that are fried in beef tallow, covered with green onions, bacon, house seasoning, and served with the best hollandaise sauce I've ever tasted in my life. You can get fries for one, a smaller portion, or fries for two, a much larger portion, for a couple of extra dollars. She didn't realize that the movie was nearly 4 hours long and it ended at around 10 p.m. By this time, she said she was tired and didn't want to go to the restaurant anymore. I said that was okay and asked if I could order my fries to go. She said that was fine. I asked her if she wanted any, and she said no. So I ordered the fries for one. I checked with her again before I ordered, and she said she 100% didn't want any. We went to pick up the fries. She caught a whiff of them and asked if she could have a few. No problem, they are very delicious, and I let her have some. She then asked if we could sit outside the restaurant and eat the whole thing together. I said no. I explained that I had asked her if she wanted some and she said no, and that if she had wanted to eat with me, she should have told me so I could have gotten the fries for two. I didn't want to share the fries for one, as it's a smaller portion. She got really upset and said I was being selfish and refusing to share my fries. I said that, yes, I was being selfish in this case because I really wanted the fries. And I was just being honest. I didn't want to share in this instance. She's since cooled down, but this morning we had a call and she said that next time I should just share with her. I said I'm happy to share anytime, but not in situations like this, and that she should be more careful about saying what she wants. She's upset with me again now. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm so sick of people who do this. Order your own freaking fries. And don't cry when people quite righty don't want to share. Same. I don't share food at all. Lol, are you my mom? She was very militant about not sharing food and had no problem threatening people. She would tell us that if we tried to reach for her food, we'd be pulling back a nub. Not the a-hole. For the people here saying, you should have just bought it anyway? No, that just reinforces annoying behavior. She's an adult. If she was really that hungry, she could have ordered another single portion. I don't understand why the people in these situations never order for themselves once they realize they are hungry. How long does it take the restaurant to make fries? Probably not that long.